Episode 122. Will Jade shoot the kissing scenes? Although the feeling was familiar, it was also different. The feeling the lunch gave her was different from the feeling she got from the tea. She could tell that Dario hadn't prepared it. The method was very similar, as if they had deliberately imitated Dario, but the feeling she had was really strange. Why would they imitate his technique? Did they want to please her? Jade tried not to think too much about it. She even felt that she was thinking too much. Who would want to please her? She quickly finished her meal. Caroline took the empty lunchbox and lightly asked, "How was the food?" Jade nodded with satisfaction and said, "It was very delicious. A chef must have made it." Although Jade was telling the truth, there was one thing she didn't say. She liked Dario's cooking better. "I'm glad that you liked it." Caroline wasn't just talking about the chef in her heart, but his stature. A senior mechanic was brought in from the biggest hotel in Washington. He was now in charge of Jade's food. However, if Jade didn't like the food that he cooked, Dario would tell him to scram. Caroline told Lucas everything about Jade's reaction to her lunch. In Washington, Lucas was standing in Dario's office. He glanced at Dario, who was working. Then he expressionlessly read a text message. "Caroline said Miss Winslet was very satisfied with the food." "Yes," Dario said without looking up. "Seems like you're serious. You've even arranged for your own mentor to be given to Miss Winslet. I just don't know if Mr. Foster will continue to look for the person he's been looking for," Lucas said seriously. The mentor was an advanced chef, the one who taught Dario how to cook. That was why Jade felt that their cooking tasted so similar, but there was still a clear difference. If the master chef knew that Jade thought that Dario cooked better than him, he would probably be very angry. When Lucas mentioned the woman he'd been looking for over the past 5 years, Dario's expression changed immediately. His eyes became extremely dark, and his face had no expression. It was hard to tell whether he was happy or worried, but the cold aura of his body was enough to make anyone's heart turn cold. Even Lucas didn't dare to act rashly in front of him. After a long time, Dario slowly opened his mouth. His tone was extremely cold as he said, "What? Don't you have no work? Are you bored of your duties?" When Jade wasn't around, Dario seemed to be even colder. He was emotionless to everyone. When his co-workers saw his face during their meeting, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Lucas asked coldly, "Do you think I'm bored?" At that moment, Lucas, who had never been emotional, was almost angered. He held back the anger in his heart. When faced with Dario's dark eyes, he felt almost as powerful as Dario. "Yeah, I'm quite free. I'm just a driver. I work part-time as a bodyguard and also look for a chef. Besides that, I work part-time as a detective and a fighter. Mr. Foster, you're so rich. Can't you find a few more people?" Lucas was very dissatisfied. It seemed to him that ever since Jade appeared, he'd been even busier than Dario. Where was the bodyguard Dario had promised? Dario stared at Lucas with a sharp gaze and pursed his lips. He didn't say anything. In his heart, he felt that he couldn't trust anyone else. "If you're so busy, why are you still here with me? Have you finished what I asked you to do?" Dario asked bluntly. Lucas wondered. What a joke. Did he spend so much money he couldn't just hire a driver, couldn't he? "It's about time, I just don't know. Mr. Foster wanted to see the bodies of the 2 women. Or do you want to see them half crippled?" Dario glanced at him indifferently and didn't say anything. Lucas immediately said, "All right, I understand what you mean, goodbye." When he finished speaking, he immediately slammed the door and left. It seemed like Mr. Foster was trying to work him to death. This was also Dario's favourite method to make someone work. Lucas didn't like to drug people. He preferred to hit people directly. It would be better to call David Swan for this kind of thing. He would probably be very interested. Jade, who was putting on makeup, held her phone uneasily. She kept thinking about the kissing scene that was going to be filmed that day. Should she tell Mr. Foster in advance? She was his wife now, no matter what, and she didn't know if he would mind her shooting kissing scenes. If only she had asked him the day before. Jade felt very conflicted. In the end, she bit her lower lip and made up her mind to not shoot with Michael Porter. She wanted to discuss with the director if she could fake the kiss. She felt that she wouldn't accept even a light kissing scene. Even if she imagined he was Dario, it wouldn't do. Even if she was asked to leave the crew, she wouldn't hesitate to do so. Besides, There were other actors who wouldn't shoot kissing or bed scenes. It was just that she didn't have the qualifications, nor did she have the capital. "All right, we're starting now. Action." The scene that they were going to shoot that day involved Jade's character. After being abandoned, she met the male lead and some things happened. The plot involved her accidentally kissing someone. At that moment, Jade felt her heart jump, and she became extremely nervous. Michael Porter, on the other hand, looked very calm. He was no different from normal. After all, he was a professional actor and was indifferent. Just when the director gave the signal to start filming, it was as if he had entered the role. "Ruby, I finally found you." Michael held Jade's hand tightly. His eyes were full of eagerness and concern. "Why did you come to me? Didn't I say that? I don't like you." Jade looked at his somewhat dispirited face with heartache, and her eyes were filled with deep affection. She really wanted to escape, but she felt some attachment to him and reluctance to part with him. They didn't have many actions in this scene, but their expressions were very rich. Although she was a newcomer, Jade was just as talented as Michael. The director was very satisfied with their performance. He nodded slightly and felt that he had chosen the right person. "Ruby, what are you talking about? Promise me that you won't leave again, okay?" Michael looked at her with heartache. He really couldn't understand why she would suddenly leave him. Jade's eyes were full of pain and determination. She must leave him. "No, I told you. Why are you still pestering me? I don't love you. I don't love you at all. I've had a goal from the beginning, and now I've achieved my goal. Jerry, don't you understand? I've been using you all along." Jade screamed at the top of her lungs. Although she wasn't that loud, she was loud enough to be heard, and her eyes began to turn red. Everyone watching felt their hearts ache.